Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. 6 months ago I told you I was going to set up a very economically priced rimfire to shoot longer distance, because people wanted to say, why can't I shoot long range with an economical 2.2 rimfire? Well, you can. Now I've set this gun up, it's been sat 6 months waiting for the right scenario when I had the time to do it. So essentially I've got a 3-9x40 scope, a CZ452 which must be 20 years old because I've had it 15, 17 years myself. SAC moderator, this is a eBay special bipod, it's a Harris copy, it's carbon fibre, it's one that happens to have not fallen apart, so I do kind of still use it. It's added to one of my setup. Yes, there's a trigger cam on here. That's just something I've got, but I thought I'll put it on for the sake of videoing what I'm going to do rather than the fact it's giving me any great technical advantage. The only modifications to this rifle are, I think the trigger got modified a decade plus ago, and essentially I've used these special FX rings. Now these do allow me to have more mechanical elevation canting in on the scope, so I can then effectively, the scope's pointing down which makes the barrel point up. That's what's giving me longer range capability. Now we'll have to see if we can zero it at closer range. I suspect not, because there's so much on here, and how well we can deal with dials rather than target turrets. But let's have a go and see how far we can shoot, because we've got gongs all the way out there this evening. Right, the theory is we're going to zero the rifle with the group as low as possible on target, but I know it's going to strike somewhere above the aim point. I'm at 50 meters here. I've got the scope dialed all the way down in one direction, so I've got so much elevation built up on the rings for the longer ranges. That's what we've got to accomplish. So at 50 meters, my aim point's the bottom of the target. The group's probably going to go quite high on the target. We'll measure the difference between the aim point and the group position at 50 meters, program that into the ballistic calculator, and that is going to give us a theoretical maximum firing range from the adjustment level I've got on the scope. I've got just over 80 minutes of angle on this scope, but these are dialing turrets, they're not really tactical target turrets for repeated dialing. So when I've set it, I've got to be very careful to count all my clicks, mark all my positions. But we'll go ahead and shoot this sighting group at 50 meters now.
You can note that at 50 meters the actual image isn't quite perfectly in crystal clear focus. This is a fixed parallax scope at 100 meters, so at 50 meters on 9 power magnification you do notice the incorrect focus. If I were to wind this down to 3 or 4 times you wouldn't notice it, and although parallax is there, it's not something you really need to massively worry about. This is a function of any fixed parallax scope, so nothing to worry about.
Okay, this is the target at a very precisely measured 50 meters. My aim point was actually the hole in the paper there. We put it on backwards so we could see that nice clear bullet strike. And I've just measured that, and that is 17 centimeters high at 50 meters. So that's going to be programmed into the ballistic calculator. Now, other than the minutes of angle, I'm going to try and run everything else in metric, although I have recorded the velocity in feet per second at 1049, which is 320 meters per second. So stick with me in metric for everything else, and we'll work out this now and go shooting at the longer distances.
Although I have access to chronographs and can accurately measure muzzle velocity from this exact rifle, it's clear to see here that if I'd have just gone with the box data at 327 meters per second, which is only 7 meters per second faster, I would have easily been close to the target, probably no different to how my first shots were anyway. So don't be afraid to experiment. It's not that critical a factor unless you're talking about first round hits at mega distances.
Right, I'm going to spray the target white, because the bullets won't leave a huge amount of splash at this distance, so white's the easiest colour to see them against. Balloons aren't a bad target actually. Now in theory we were shooting this in the evening so we'd have the least amount of wind. In reality, it's still quite breezy out here this evening, and it's going to be an interesting test, and I'm going to put some little wind vanes up purely because I have got them, so I might as well use them. Pop this one over here. You can guarantee that these will be what gets shot, but at least it gives us clear wind direction at distance and also the relative strength it's changing through. It's easier to ping the distance with a laser rangefinder on the big target of the trees that are back near the firing point from where we are here than from being out there and have them pinged here. They're actually probably going to run a bit long at something like 315, 316 metres from the exact firing point, but we'll be trying to keep as best as we can out the sunlight to make sure we can see through the scope, because one of the downsides of using a small scope shooting small targets at longer distances is you physically struggle to see them a little bit. So that's one of the other challenges of a 3:9 scope. This target's about 150 metres, just a bit of a warm-up target. There's not many bags hold up as well as this Military First bag has. I think it's from a company called Mil Pro that Military First distribute, and this is my steel target bag, so it's full of chains, hammers, brass, shackles, and it's got machete and it's got all sorts of things in it, basically for putting steel up, and it's been absolutely battered and it's still holding up, so I'm quite impressed by it. Right, you ready? Let's go. Right, I've set my zero range at 50 metres and at 17 centimetres high at that distance. Now, if I calculate this on the app, we shall get some kind of a reasonable firing solution. And let's see how we go with this, because we've walked all the way out there, we've sprayed all the targets, and we haven't shot anything yet, so I'm hoping we don't miss. Now, this first target is at 140 metres, and it's telling me I need 3.7 minutes of angle. Now, because of the way these scopes are, I've got a dial that says here I'm on 8 minutes of angle, so I'm going to take a photograph of that so I can remember exactly where I started. Some scopes you can change and make it look like it's zeroed, but regardless, if I started at 8, I now need to add on, what did I just say? I just said 3.7 minutes of angle. So 1, 2, 3 and 3 clicks. So we shall have a go at that and see if it works. Now, I've not dialed any windage on yet, but I've got a fairly significant left to right wind, and I'm just going to aim on the left side of the plate and see what we got, because we haven't got any idea yet if the elevation's correct or if the windage is anything like. Firing. Oh, well, there you go. That's a rather nice occurrence straight away, isn't it? That one missed. Those look like they're just going over the top. That one went below. But as a starting point, the first round hit, the other 4 didn't. But that's interesting, because I wasn't actually expecting the first round to hit, which is a kind of lucky break, you might say. But this isn't super far yet. Certainly with my own CZ457 LRP, a 140 metre target wouldn't be anything difficult at all. But with this, with me counting clicks in all directions, I'm terrified now of dialing on any windage, purely because of the fact I've no return to a 0 point really. So again, I'm going to take a photograph of it, and I'm not going to go beyond 1 rotation of the dial. So I've taken a photograph of that now. So I want to dial some left on this. I'm probably going to put 2, maybe 3 minutes of left on. And I'm just going to have another shot. The wind's already changed, you see. But we've got the gong. It's hitting slightly low. Just put 3 clicks up on it. And that one's just missed. I think the wind picked up very slightly on that last shot. Yeah, because it dropped again for the 5th shot. So that's actually really quite pleasing. I wouldn't say I haven't done quite a lot of shooting at longer distances, but it's really nice being able to do it with a gun that's... The whole point of this project was to use an inexpensive rifle with no kind of flash target specific gear. It's entry-level scope, entry-level rifle. You know, this rifle's probably 20 years old. I bought it used 15 years ago, something like that. So the longer target we've got out now is 310 meters, I think. So we'll have a go on that and see how we manage things. The good thing is that because the ground is dry and hard, although it's got some surface loose dirt on it, we're getting a good signature when we are missing. So if I go into ballistics AE again now, and looking at this, at 310 meters, that is telling me I need 43.2 minutes of elevation. Now, if you remember, if we go back to the start, we were on, it was marked to 8. So if I go up 43.2, this is where it becomes very interesting because you've got to be really, really careful. So that click there, we'll call that the 0.2. We now need to go at 3 minutes, which is 12 clicks. And now we've got a nice round 40 minutes to go up. So I might lose count here. This is why it's tricky. Each rotation is 12 minutes. So that's 12. That's 24. That's 36. 37, 38, 39, 40. So doing it on camera sort of makes it easier because you've got to make sure you get it right, and it will give me a record of what I did if I get it wrong and totally lose myself. But when I say you get lost in translation or lost in dialing, this is the major problem. Now at that range I'm going to dial on I think another 3 minutes of wind at least. But let's have a go. I think I might need to pick the bipod up a little bit, but it won't go any higher, so I'm going to have to come back onto the mat slightly. Here we go. Now I saw that land. It was about 3 plates right and 2 plates low. Now the option is I can aim off and fire again, and I hit some steel, but which steel I hit I don't know. So I'm going to now dial, looking carefully through the scope, because I've no milliradian hash marks or anything like that. It's not first focal plane, so all I can do really is look through the scope, hold the rifle as still as I can, and dial it to where I saw the bullet hit. And similarly for the windage. I'll have another shot now. I think that missed just off the right hand side. Possibly a slight bit low. and the wind's just picked up. I can feel the wind now, just blew strong on my face then. All we can do is keep trying, see if we can get a hit. And one thing I would say is use a big gong. I've put a 300mm gong up at 300 meters or 310 meters just because it was a nice round number, and frankly I didn't want to carry a 500mm gong that far. But a big gong will show you the hits better, and it will allow you to dial in better or aim off better. Now, one of the big disadvantages I'm realising immediately is because I can't confidently redial or aim off with specific values. The wind dropped on those last couple of shots and I saw the bullet strike quite a long way left. So I think that was a hit. That sounded like a hit. So we think so far we've got 2 hits on the plate. Now, we probably won't know until I either refer to a spotting scope with a lot more magnification than I've got through the 9x rifle scope, or we actually finally get all the way out there and count the number of hits we think we've got. Again, the camera will tell us everything because I've left it recording throughout the whole event. Now, I would say I'm not in a terribly comfortable shooting position because I could have done with a slightly longer bipod, but we'll manage. Pretty sure that was a hit. We'll call that number 3. Number 4. Wind's changed. Missed low right. Missed way out left. And that one's missed low. Now, I'm very happy with my shooting being consistent. I'm in a slightly sheltered spot here, but I can see wind flags out near the targets. I get a feeling of the wind picking up or dropping, and I can see the wind direction down there quite clearly. The ribbon also shows me if it's picking up or dropping away a little bit. But I'm shooting over a slight ravine in front of me where the truck is parked on a track along through the farm, and I've got wind bumps going all the way across the grass, all the way across the ground. But the point is, we've got solid hits. I think we got 4 or 5 solid hits, I can't remember now. And I think actually shooting it isn't the big problem. The gun isn't the big problem. Actually, optically, aiming at 9 power, which you'll see through the trigger cam footage, worked better than I thought actually, because I've used a nice big target, it's easily white, you know, we've got no problems with light, we've got beautiful evening light conditions. And actually, the biggest downside is a little bit the ergonomics of the rifle. Like I said, I should have brought a bigger bipod anyway, but the biggest downside is the fact you can't quickly correlate between the clicks on the turret and the clicks on, you know, the aim offs on the reticle. And although you can aim off and you can make clicks to do overall corrections, what it slows down is any kind of fast reaction to changing conditions or when you want to change the overall firing solution. Never get me wrong, you will be aiming left and right as the wind changes all the time shooting at long distance, but you can get a generalized elevation trend. We timed that perfectly because the farmer's just turned up, he's gone out checking his larsen traps, and we're going to have to call it a day for this one. I don't mind though, because I am totally lost on the windage to which I've dialed in. I kind of reacted to try and just get it done and on target, and actually where it's ended up I don't know. Elevation similarly, I can probably dial elevation back more easily, but that is the downside, as I explained. But what I will say is, if enough people like, subscribe, comment and say go to 400, I think I can go to 400, and I'm going to try that without changing the kit at all.
I've mechanically set the scope up to push the absolute extreme range. There's a good chance that if I only ever wanted to shoot 300 metres, I could actually adjust the scope mounts to give me a 50 yard or 50 metre zero, as I usually prefer with 2.2 rimfires.
So this is the target at 140 metres. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 shots on that. I don't remember how many we took, but it's all on camera. Quite a tidy little group, I suppose, appearing there. I think they all hit, I think, 140 metres. I can't quite remember, but essentially that was the little warm-up target to have a go at, and it's about the actual distance the gun is technically zeroed at. So let's go on and fetch the 310 metre target now. Right, we just walked out to fetch the target 310 metres. I was fairly sure I had 5 hits. There was 1 or 2 I wasn't quite sure about, a little ping of noise in the distance, but here we go, we're down now. 300mm gong. We've got a strike there, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we actually got 5 strikes on it. Now, I'm not saying this is a great display of marksmanship or amazing capability, but it's just using the rifle that I had, you know, X number of years ago, probably very similar to any rifle you might have. So please, just get out there, find a safe place to do it, and do some long range 2.2 rimfire shooting. Don't worry about all the ballistics and all the, you know, scopes with this, scopes with that, scopes with the other. Just try and see how you can get on with the scopes and the kit you have. If you do go to a greater degree, the elevated rings do give you a lot more range capability, but you will more than likely sacrifice a close range zero for that. And as I say, don't get too wound up over the fact that it's not easy to dial these scopes quickly and intuitively because of the way they work, because you've got multiple rotations, you haven't got simple marking systems, and you haven't got zero stops. Go out, enjoy it. DOPE stands for data on previous I've already forgotten. DOPE stands for data on previous engagement. So write your notes down, use your phone, take pictures of turrets to remind yourself where everything was. Now, I'll freely admit, I'm totally lost on what I did with my windage now. I can't remember exactly what I did, because I did it all on the spur of the moment to make the camera take work, you know, in one complete take. I didn't want to have to do it all again, come out, respray the targets, all this, that and the other. So you got it real, you just did it as I did it. And that's how I hope you're going to go out there and do it. Now, if you have a little look at these wind flags, these MTM wind flags, I've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these in various states of having been shot or blown away or rotten in the bent in the some farmer driving into them or something like that. But I'm going to figure out a way of doing a prize draw, because I've got 2 of these brand new in the packets, and we're going to do a little giveaway or something like that, and I'll figure that out when I get back to the armoury and just finish up and do the rest of this video. So pay attention to how they look when you see them on video, and realise that they helped me do what I did. Now, one thing that wasn't on the video is that Dave, who's holding the camera right now, was actually behind me on the spotting scope throughout the whole thing. Now, what I didn't want to do is introduce the spotting scope as well. I made my hits on what I could see through the scope, which is hopefully on the trigger cam. Dave was there to watch, because he then told me after it all finished, you know, you got hits here, hits there, did this, did that, yes, your wind calls were correct, yes, your misses were correct. So I was very glad of that, because I was using a 9-power scope. He had about 30 times magnification, so he could see a lot better than me. But the point is, we don't say that's absolutely necessary, and that's why I didn't want Dave to be on the video singing out every kind of hit, miss or maybe, because I want you to realise it's doable with what you can see through that scope. And that's a 3 to 9 scope, not parallax adjustable. You could go up to a 4 to 12, you've immediately got greater long range visibility with it. You know, that's not a particularly large jump in terms of equipment of what you might already have. Yes, if you want to start moving up in the world of scopes in terms of zero stops and big turrets and this, that and the other, don't always assume it's about having massive magnification, because massive magnification often conceals the fact that you need to be able to see a clear picture so you can see bullet trace and bullet strike where it hits the ground. Anyway, I hope this video has inspired you to have a little bit of a go at longer range rimfire shooting, because I've actually had more fun making this and talking to you guys than I imagined I ever would. So thank you for watching. But there we go. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It was actually quite fun for me to do because it's taken me 6 months to get the opportunity. I turned up at the farm tonight and thought, oh dear, the crop's growing very quickly on what was nice fresh drillings last week. But I can get reasonable signature off the ground when I miss the still. So I hope that's inspired you to take a low-cost rimfire, a low-cost rifle scope, ignore the fact I've got a trigger cam on here, that's just hopefully going to give me some more footage, and it inspires you to have a go at shooting some long-range rimfire with, you know, nothing more fancy than standard match ammunition. Thanks for watching, bye for now. So, to finish up, we got lost. I got lost in elevation and I got lost in windage, so I'm going to try and work out where exactly everything ended up. So if I dial all the way back to where my 0 point was, I kept it on my phone. Now the turret indicated 8 minutes of angle when it was at my lowest point for when I zeroed it. So if I do this really carefully, and bear in mind you've got to be really careful doing this so you don't lose track of anything. So it's marking 10 at the minute, so I'm going to go all the way around to 10. So that's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. Well, I wouldn't say I am super confident that that will be back at 0, but there we go. So we did 3 turns and 2 minutes. So 3 complete turns. This is 12 minutes of angle per turn. So that's 36, 37, 38 minutes of angle is what got us the shot at 310 meters. Now, if I look back at Ballistics AE, Ballistics AE is the app I was using on my phone. It's one I've used many, many times. I've got all sorts of profiles in here. I did, oh, what did I call it now? Long range budget. Now ignore the fact that's got a load of Mauser details there because that's just a standardized setup. So 310 meters actually said I needed 43.2 minutes, and what do we say? I used 38. So, you know, there's some variety in that. I'm not going to say this scope tracks perfectly on exact minutes of angle, so it's all an interesting experiment. In terms of windage, I believe I dialed left-hand windage on. So if I dialed left windage, to move it back right, I need to go anti-clockwise. Now that would imply that I had quite a lot of wind on there. But again, there was about 6 minutes of windage on that. Again, that is the joy of a dialed turret scope rather than just, you know, finger dials underneath these caps. But the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out whether we can go longer. So if we go back up 38 minutes of angle, so we went 2 there, and then we want 3 rotations from that. 1, 2, 3. Right, that is where we shot at 310 meters. Now from 310 meters to 400 meters we need about another 25 minutes of angle. So how much have we got left? We have got 1 rotation, so that's 12. 2 rotations, that's 24 minutes of angle. And we've got nearly 3 rotations, so that will be 36, 35. We've got 34 minutes of angle left. So at 310 we were 43.2. According to that we were actually at 38 in reality. I think we can do 400 meters. So that will be the project possibly for next time I've got the availability of some ground conditions that will show me bullet splash. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, because I've really enjoyed making this video. I wish I'd seen a video like this myself 20 years ago, because it would have given me great joy. As I said, there would be a prize giveaway for 2 of these MTM wind flags. I'm actually going to post them both together. It's going to be one prize, and one prize is both the MTM wind flags, because I had 2 set up for that occasion there. I can't really think of how to run a prize, but what we'll do is Please like, subscribe, share, all that kind of thing, but you need to comment on this one. I mean, I want you to put the comment, I love MTM wind flags, and the best comment that has that, as well as a pertinent, interesting technical comment, either on what I did or how you would like to help other people shoot, well, those comments, keep them going, and on the 21st of June, which happens to be my birthday, I will announce the winner, and I will then contact the winner and we can sort something out about getting these to them. I will be restricting it to UK mainland only postage. I know that sounds very mean. It's nothing to do with the financial element of it. It's just to do with the fact that shipping them overseas, shipping anything overseas at the moment, seems to be an absolute pain. So there we go. Right, thank you very much. See you later. Enjoy your shooting.